every single place around the world is in Central Avenue.
Welcome into Local Roots on Queen City News Plus, where we're going to dive into the history of Charlotte. I'm Alicia Barnes, and today we're taking you back to 1975 when Eastland Mall opened. And it was a time when it was the largest mall in North Carolina. It closed in 2010, but in the 80s and the 90s, it wasn't just a place to shop. It was a cultural crossroad that helped define life in East Charlotte. But as the city boomed, neighborhoods changed. Eastland's rise and fall reflected something deeper, the shifting story of Charlotte itself. I want to welcome you in again to Local Roots. I'm Alicia Barnes. I want to have my two special guests to be able to introduce them. Dr. Tom Hanchett, who is a regular here on Local Roots. So I always love your storytelling and your expertise, so thank you so much. And we also have Manolo, who is from Manolo's Latin Bakery. A lot of people know you here in the Charlotte area. You're also a local activist. It's just a pleasure to have you on to be able to tell us about what you have seen over the years in the east side of Charlotte and Eastland area. So thank you so much for being on. Let's get started and talk about first, Dr. Hanchett, if you can kind of give us what we saw back in the 70s of what people saw. I know people talk about the Eastland Mall and they say, oh, the ice skating rink. That's the first thing that comes up.
Well, I'm going to go back before that because that's on Central Avenue, which, Charlotte street names don't seem like they make sense. Central Avenue was the center of a little neighborhood that people have largely forgotten called Piedmont Park. Mm-hmm. But it was a major way in and out on the east side of the city. It's hard to imagine how little the city was as recently as 1975. There was a big old stone farmhouse at the corner of Central Avenue and Albemarle Road, and there were farms in that area. And today, that's a very bustling space, but it's hard to imagine that when Eastland Mall was imagined, in the early 70s, that was the heyday of the big regional mall where you had a new downtown that was the magnet for the whole region. Well, we had two of them. Why do you need two? That's one of the reasons why Eastland didn't last as much as it might have. But 1975, South Park Mall had just opened. Eastland Mall opened, and the two were locked in competition. Eastland Mall was the skating rink. Yeah. The stores had balconies, and you looked over the skating rink. You came up an escalator with skaters going along below you. But the real big thing is it was the first food. Wow. Nobody had seen a food court. And so it was, you could get pizza or Greek food or a hamburger all in the same place. Yeah. It was, and, today, again, we take that for granted, but Eastland was a big attractor.
Manolo, what memories do you have of what it was back then?
I didn't know about the food court. Now it's all Central Avenue, the Charlotte's food court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, Central Avenue is Charlotte's food court today. I love that.
That's a good way to call it. Thank you, Dr. Hanch. To me, I remember coming to Charlotte in 2005 from Tennessee, and it was the first time ever in my life. I was 30 years old. I went to an ice skating place. I had never had that. That was to me, wow. I was
to ice skate.
Yeah, that was so cool, man. I enjoyed that. That was amazing. I was born in a very small town in South America. And then I went to the military forces of Colombia, and then I went to Miami and Tennessee. But that was the first time ever in my life that I was in an ice skating place. And also, it was the first time ever that I see the amount of diversity in one place. Because remember, I was just coming from Tennessee, and Tennessee, everybody was, same color. Miami, same color. That place, Eastland Mall, Central Avenue, is the diversity of our city.
Dr. Hanchett, what do people need to know? Because for me, coming and moving here in the last 4 or 5 years, and all of a sudden hear about this new Eastland Yards of what's coming, and you see the whole, like the videos that we're showing of this area from back then in the 70s and 80s. I mean, this was kind of like the place to go, right?
It was, and it was of its time. The regional mall has fallen out of desirability in the United States. There are still a few of them, but a lot of empty spaces, even in the most successful ones. The idea that people would come together under one roof was it took some audacity to imagine that. And it also, as a friend of mine said, when you buy an elephant, you got to keep feeding it peanuts. And the shopping malls have not done real well at continuing to create that foot traffic. What has happened is an appreciation along Central Avenue of all of the different ethnic groups that are there now. If you go back as recently as 1975, the Central Avenue corridor was almost entirely white. Mm-hmm. And as urban change begins, there's an African-American addition in. And then in the 90s, that becomes the area where rents are low because all of the little businesses have been beaten to death by the shopping mall. And so there are a lot of empty spaces. And that is when immigrants begin to come to this part of the South. Charlotte's one of the fastest growing immigrant cities in the United States in the early 2000s. And a lot of people start businesses in those old spaces. And one of them was Manolo's Bakery.
Yeah, by that time was Las Delicias. Las Delicias Bakery was founded by my kids' grandpas in 97 by their mother's side.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, so they emigrate from Mexico, and Mr. Martinez, he used to drive from here to Atlanta to buy pan dulce, Mexican bread, and it was such a good business for him. And so he told his wife, "We need to go to Mexico and learn how to bake." And they were late in their 50s, I think, Dr. Hans.
Yeah, they'd come here to work construction.
Yeah.
And then he got injured on the job.
Yes.
And so he reinvented himself as a baker of traditional bread in Mexico.
Exactly. And that was April 97. And they had a very wonderful business. It was my first time ever because being Colombia, we only that much bread as Mexicans. And I remember coming in 2005 when I went to a bakery and I saw these big lines of people buying these trays full of bread. Wow, this is amazing. And I had never seen all that many variety of bread in one place. And that's when I fell in love with the bakery.
Wow.
Talk a little bit about the pan dulce, the sweet bread. And when you come into Manolo's Bakery, there's this big plexiglass thing, and you reach in with tongs, and you have a little tray, and there are pastries that are shaped like seashells.
Yes,
like
there are
piggies,
conchas,
little pigs.
the little pigs. Yeah,
I love those.
Yeah, the Mexican bread tradition comes from France. The France has a big influence in Mexico, and their pastries and their bread. The thing that Mexico did was they changed the butter because it's more expensive for more sugar. Yeah, and because we have in Latin America sugar cane, and that's bad. We have all this like a bread. It's a Mexican bread. It's called cuerno.
That's what's a little sweeter.
More sweeter. And it has like a croissant shape.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not a puff pastry. It's a sweet dough.
Yeah.
That sweet dough. So that's the difference. But so yeah, we still having the traditions from my kid's grandmother. We still making her recipes.
Wow.
Yeah. Now this is our 29 years, so it's almost 30 years making the same recipes. So we break 10,000 eggs by hand every week at the bakery.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kind of breaching out a little bit, when we talk about so many different cultures coming into the area, that's one of the things we're going to address. We're going to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, so much more here on Local Roots. Stay close. You're watching Queen City News Plus and Local Roots. I'm Alicia Barnes. Thanks so much for watching. And if you've enjoyed our programming, you can watch all of our original programming by watching Roku, Apple TV, or you can stream it on Samsung TV, even Amazon Fire device. Now, let's get back to the episode. Welcome back to Local Roots. We're talking about the era of the Eastland Mall and how that really changed the community. And when we left off our conversation, we're really talking about how we're seeing this progression of different cultures that are coming in. Dr. Hinchett, just lay out for us a little bit as to the context when you talk about going from all white to then mixing it with African Americans and dealing with different culture populations of the Latin community coming in heavily. How did that happen?
Little by little. This is a part of the South. Now, if you're from Pittsburgh or Cleveland or something like that, you expect there to be lots of immigrants. But in this part of the South, because of the Civil War and other things, this was a region that was pretty poor. And so it really wasn't until after the Vietnam War that refugees began settling here from Southeast Asia. Mm-hmm. And then another big moment is in the 1990s as Bank of America, what's now Bank of America, is building the skyscrapers downtown. And the story goes that on the main building, the company that set the steel were folks from Texas. And a lot of Hispanic people who were in that world said, now, wait a minute, there's doing a lot of construction here. Yeah. This is a place that's welcoming. It's clean. It's sunny. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. All the things that bring people to Charlotte all the time.
Right.
And so in the 80s and 90s, this begins to become a new immigrant gateway, as the Brookings Institution says. And Latino people in particular doing construction work, landscaping work, but also every level of society. And initially, I think they were very much welcomed here. Would you say that?
Well, to me, East Charlotte is still the welcoming side of town.
Okay.
No, and it's still.
Okay.
It's still. Well, we live in different reality now in America, but it's still, East Charlotte and the most majority of Charlotte is still the welcoming. Mm-hmm. Very, very welcome to us. But I think every single American that lives in East Charlotte love us. It's to me, they are the coolest and most welcoming Americans in the city. And don't take me wrong, Charlotte just showed me how much they love me and how much they love us, the immigrant community. But when I arrived in 2005, I had never, in 20 years. This is the first time ever that I feel like I'm foreign in this nation. Mm. But I have never have felt in that way in East Charlotte, in Central Avenue. So it's the most welcoming side of town. And one thing that I always keep telling everybody is, if you want to try every single flavor of the world, you just go to Central Avenue.
You don't
need to go to Chicago. You don't need to go to New York. You don't need to go to Los Angeles. Just go to Central Avenue, and every single place around the world is in Central Avenue.
Well, everybody seems to know Manolo's Latin Bakery, and you have a big documentary that's coming out that's going to be at the Charlotte Theater, sold out too, by the way, at the Charlotte Theater. But tell us a little bit as to what people can hear about your story of what makes it so fascinating.
Well, I the big thing is I'm just sharing my blessings. Since I came to this nation, I have been receiving too much love in too many different ways. I live in Tennessee, and there's too many people that have done a lot of amazing things for me. So it's a good business deal we got. Mm-hmm.
The name is very fitting, the Change Baker.
I get back to the community, and God gives me more. But it's just an idea entrepreneur. My business don't run just around money. Mm-hmm. That doesn't make sense. If I just making money, I'm not running a business. Mm-hmm. My business runs around community, and that's the way that I always approach it. I believe it or not, when I came to Charlotte, I was going through this identity crisis, and I want for the bakery to look like Panera bread.
Really?
And I was kind of embarrassed about having conchas and buñuelos. And then my mentor, who is flying right now from Texas, but she says, well, Manolo, the day that you start talking from your heart, everybody's going to pay attention to you. That day I said, well, I'm just going to be so proud to sell pan dulce. and I'm just gonna talk from my heart and just gonna be myself, and that's when my life starts changing. Yeah, but it's just about philanthropy, activism, because I had a deportation order myself, so I know how broken the immigration system is.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with farm workers when I was in my last year of college, so I know how the system abuse our immigrants. And finally, show that it's a good business model. My business keeps growing.
It's growing now. Yeah.
Yeah, very. We went from $300,000 in sales yearly almost to $2 million just at the bakery, and now we have 4 more businesses.
When you look at the area that was Eastland Mall, that's now all going to be Eastland Yards,
Yeah.
and now that's where the new Manolo Bakery is going to be in that area.
There's gonna be it's not gonna be a Manolo's Bakery. It's gonna be a gelato shop. I
Okay.
have a gelato business in Matthews. It's a
Okay.
vegan gelato business.
So Manolo's Bakery will stay where it is.
Yes,
Okay, so
Manolo's
that's not
Bakery is no
moving.
moving.
Okay. Okay.
Forever and ever, and it's Charlotte Central Avenue. That's my corner.
Mhm. Okay.
So at Eastland Yards, you will have artisan Gelato.
Artisan gelato.
Okay.
And we are the only place in the nation that have 100 vegan flavors
Okay.
of gelato.
Good ice cream.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And Higher Grounds Cafe. Then I already have a partnership with Myers Park United Methodist Church. We started this business 1 year ago where we employ people with special abilities, minorities, people that deserve and needs a second opportunity in society. Everything that we buy is local, and all our profits goes back to community. So that has been a very, very good business model, and we are replying that in Eastland Yards.
Dr. Hinchett, just fill in the holes and the gaps for us just a little bit, because to me, for you to be able to have such a vibrant community now, what was it like maybe even in 2000, what you saw, the changes, and then when you saw Manolo's Bakery come into that area?
It was quiet.
Was it?
There were, all these little business spaces that I live very close to the corner of Central Avenue and the Plaza. There's a little tiny shopping center there, which is now bustling. But for the longest time, the lead tenant was a life insurance person who I think had retired and had never really closed the business, and everything else was fake. When the family started Las Delicias, they talk about being there the first day, and they stood in the door of the store waiting for anybody to come in. And the idea that there would be, it's not just Latino, there are many different ethnicities on Central Avenue.
Yes.
I loved the block near me where you have a Bosnian grocery and a Colombian deli and an Ethiopian restaurant and a Middle Eastern restaurant and a really good Vietnamese bakery called Central Coffee. And wow. And so it I think took Charlotte by surprise. In the early 2000s, there was something called Taste of the World, where folks who were part of the churches there, both immigrants and native-born people, said, if you can get somebody in the door of these places and have them taste and get to know, you can build a steady community, a steady customer base. And so every little church bus on the east side got pressed into service one weekend a year. And there were little possibilities of exploring the east side. What it did was to get the people who were organizing it to know each other.
Yeah.
And so the knowing of, Manolo knows who I am. I know who Manolo is. I've watched his kids get born. I've watched him grow up. I've watched his business grow. And he knows that when I come in, I'm going to get the tamales if you got them.
Yeah, Mexican Coca-Cola.
The Colombian puffs, the breakfast puffs.
Yeah, pan de bono,
Good.
And a Mexican Coca-Cola this big.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so I'm getting, you're laughing here, but that is love. That is community. It's when you know about each other, not just the day-to-day things, but how's the kids?
Yeah. So good. We're going to take a short break right now, and we're going to talk about that community and love and what's happening there in that area coming up next on Local Roots. Welcome back into Local Roots. We're talking about the area in the east side at near Eastland Mall, now called Eastland Yards, that was torn down in 2010. And Dr. Hendren, if you can tell us back then, when they decided, it started in 1975. You saw this big boom. And then in 2010, a very different story from the years before that. Kind of take us through that moment of time.
Big shopping malls were shutting down nationally. Sears, which was a major tenant, was going through hard times. J.C. Penney was going through hard times. These, if you're my age, these are the stores you grew up with, and they just did not make the transition. And so here in Charlotte, a lot of times the malls are still there around American cities, empty, almost empty. But here, the city and the county got together, bought the land, cleared it, did a lot of work with community input to find out what people would like there. There's now the Charlotte East Language Academy, CMS Dual Language School is there. The Movement School, a charter school, is on the Eastland Yard space. There's affordable housing for seniors called Evoke. There's market rate housing that is about to open. These new shops, there will be 4 of them initially, but many more. Soccer fields, playgrounds. This is a part of the city that, because of the decline of the mall, a lot of people were kind of antsy about, and it's changing really quickly. It's becoming a very attractive.
When you saw them come in with the bulldozers and clear this area, and for so long it just kind of sat, kind of take me through just driving by moments either of you had?
Yeah, I drive, every single day, in the morning and late in the afternoon. So I saw everything turn down. And then all these many times that we had some kind of hope and something cool was going to be happening there. I remember we talking about the Hollywood studios that we were going to be having there. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
A lot of dreams that didn't work out, but you didn't lose hope.
Yeah, and I'm going to be talking about hope tomorrow.
And tomorrow, of course, we're talking about, because your documentary is going to be featured at the Carolina Theater. It's called The Change Baker.
Yeah.
Sold out. But Manolo, one of the things, you're getting very emotional as we're having this conversation. What are some of the emotions that come through your mind when you think about your life?
Well, for almost 25 years, I thought that we as an immigrants, we were in the shadows.
Shadows.
Yeah, then America does very well, everybody living your parallel world, whites in this line, black in this line, immigrants in these lines. As long as you don't cross, everybody could live their lives. But we always were down in the shadows. And that was our reality, and that was my thought of reality. But just a couple of months ago, everything changed. When I saw all this army of angels, white people, coming to my corner, to my bakery, to protect us and to defend us. So when Tom says love, I just remember those thousands of people that came to Central Avenue and in Charlotte that week to bring us love. And as a human, you are prepared, or I was prepared to face evil. But I wasn't ever prepared to face all that much love. You can accept the love of your husband or your kids or your mother, but when thousands of people come to give you love, that was to another level, and I wasn't prepared for that.
You're talking about when ICE agents were here
And
in
Border
Queen
Patrol,
City, and
yeah.
you saw Border Patrol, and you saw the community really come together. Was that your first time really in history for you to really see who was supportive?
Exactly. We always have our 90% of all of my business used to be, my regular immigrant customers, and maybe 10% of Americans coming, people like Tom and all my neighbors. But when we the day before the Border Patrol and ICE came to Charlotte, I post my social media a picture of, hey, this is a ghost town. And that day was my best day of the year in the last maybe 10 years.
Wow.
All these Americans came. There were like huge lines outside my bakery coming to buy bread. Yeah, so it just like I wasn't expecting to get all this love, and we are so grateful. I say we because we, as an immigrant, we are very grateful to all the love that Charlotte has gave to us.
Well, speaking of love, you have a lot of love because, again, it's sold out tomorrow to be able to see your documentary. Dr. Hanchett, you're going to be there. Why do you think this has hit home for so many people wanting to be able to come out and see Manolo's story?
Well, Tres Leches cake. I mean,
That's good.
Immigrants, like all of us, bring things that are of themselves, and our lives are richer. And that's true when somebody comes here from New Jersey or somebody comes here from Colombia, or whatever you bring with you to Charlotte enriches Charlotte.
Yeah,
and that's something I think that we need to say to ourselves, is that as important as I am more important, more enriched when there's multiple people around me who are bringing their gift.
That is a perfect way to be able to end it. And that's why we talk about history, learning our history. As we say goodbye, is there anything else that you want people to, any resources? Of course, we always want to check out History South. Of course, that's the website that Dr. Hanchett has a lot more information all about Charlotte. But anything more, Manolo, from you?
Yeah, well, I think we also got to be very thankful to the city of Charlotte. City Council approved this, and to the developers that took the chance after many people have said no to East Charlotte. That's Crossland. It's the first time ever, and we are sending a big message to the nation that, private, the city, and a small business can work together. So that is something that we all need to feel proud of ourselves too.
East Charlotte is changing.
I love it.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Local Roots and for watching Queen City News Plus. I'm Alicia Barnes.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.